In this video, we will go over the phone and contact features of the Droid X smartphone, including placing a phone call, the dial pad, recent phone calls, contacts, and favorites. To begin, let's press the phone icon on the desktop to open the recently called callers. This will open the phone and contact options menu. As you can see here, it took me directly to the Recent tab, which displays all the list of recently called as well as people I have called. So as you can see here, there are a few different calls to voicemail as well as a couple of calls to corporate. And you can use your finger to scroll up and down in this list to locate somebody that you've either recently called or who has recently called you. There are 4 tabs in this menu. There's the dialer, and press that. This allows you to manually dial somebody and then press send. So for example, if we wanted to dial corporate, we would type in, or if we wanted to dial the voicemail, we'd just dial *86 and then hit the phone icon to send. It'll place the call, bring up the dial pad if we need to dial anything, give us more options including speakerphone, muting the call, or ending the call. There's the Recent tab, which we've already gone over. The Contacts, which is another way to get to your phone contacts. Now these are the contacts stored on your phone, as well as Favorites. Favorites will show a list of callers that you've called the most. Now under the Recent tab, we can choose any recent callers or people that we've called and call them again, or we can choose to view their contacts. So if we hit voicemail here, it shows us the contact for voicemail, which is stored on my phone, shows the number and any additional information about them. This would normally show, so we can actually hit the return key to go back to the Recent menu here. If we went to corporate, we can choose, since it's not a contact yet, we can choose to add it as a contact, or we could send it a text message, or we can even remove it from the recently called list. Let's go ahead and add it to contacts. So it wants us to know if we want to add it to an existing or a new contact. We would specify new contact, and we can just type in corporate or just CORP. We'll hit save. It changes it to a contact corp. There are other options there too. You can specify whether you want it to have a mobile or a home number or whatever. It just, since I didn't specify anything, it just set it as an other number. Now, as you can see here, if it's an actual caller from your contacts, not voicemail, it also gives us this little envelope option to actually text message it. So if we hit that, it'll ask us whether or not we want to send a text message or not. Hit return to go back to the previous menu. And we'll hit return again to go back to the recently called callers. Now at any time you can call back a number, so if you hit the little phone icon next to, say, voicemail for example, that automatically calls that caller from the list. Again, you have the different options available, and you even have Bluetooth here that you can enable if you just rush to put on your headset or something like that. So we just hit end call, and it, as you can see, it puts another entry in your recently called callers list. So you can see this is a pretty useful tool in order to see recently called callers and whatnot, and to track who has called you and call them back if you need to. Now let's look at the contacts list on the phone. Now there are 2 types of contacts menus on this phone, and it's important to note the distinction. So if we hit the Contacts tab under the Phone menu, this actually displays just the phone contacts that are stored on the phone. However, if we hit the Home key here, go back to the desktop, and look at the desktop, there's actually a Contacts icon that we can select, which will take us to the main Contacts menu. It's important to note that there are 4 types of contacts. If I press this bar here, I can view the different types of contacts. There are 4 types of contacts. There are phone contacts, which are actually stored on the phone. There are Outlook contacts, which are stored in your corporate Outlook account. Then they're under contacts. There is the company directory, as well as any web contacts you might have. In this case, I have Google contacts through Gmail. This menu will switch the view of which contacts you want to see. So if I select all contacts, I see all the contacts I have available. If I select this again, I'll see more options. Favorites, will choose the favorites menu, which I showed previously. If we go to Comp View, this shows the list of Comp View account contacts. Now these Comp View contacts, where it says Contacts Comp View, are the list of contacts I have under contacts in my Outlook calendar. When you add a contact from the phone, it actually adds it not just here, which also syncs to Outlook, but it adds it to the phone and any web contacts you may have. So in my case, if I add a contact here onto the phone, it'll add in Outlook as well as Gmail as well as on the phone itself. So let's go ahead and add a contact. You hit the menu button here, then you choose Add Contact. We'll type in the name as Test, and you hit the plus sign next to each section you want to add. So in this case, we'll do Phone. We'll put my extension, email address, put in my email address, and you have other options. You have their IM, and actual addresses, what organizations, some additional info you can add, notes on that person, all sorts of different things. You can even add a ringtone defined to that person, which is kind of neat. So when they call, they have a specific ringtone. So we'll go ahead and hit save. And now this test has been added to all 3 contact listings. The only one it is not added to is the corporate address list, which is read-only. So now if we go in here, it tells you it's linked to all 3 of these, the phone contacts, Google, as well as Comp View. It is important to note the distinction, because sometimes contacts, like say if you add it under Comp View, it will show up under your contacts for Comp View, but it won't show up under, like, say, your phone contacts. So some of these contacts, if I hit the return key here and I change the default view to, say, Comp View, for example, if I change it to Google, or if I went over here and changed it to phone, if I added that contact in Outlook, it would only appear under the Comp View contacts. So if I were in my phone contacts, it wouldn't appear. So sometimes that might cause some confusion when you're trying to create a contact that you hope syncs down to your phone. It doesn't add it in all 3 locations unless you add it specifically from the phone. However, you can change it so that it is to all contacts. Then you can see all the contacts that have been displayed. To delete a contact, let's go back to our test contact. I'm switching the default view back to Comp View, which is my Comp View account. Press and hold the contact you want to delete. It'll give you more options. You can view it, you can call it, send it a text message, send it an email. This will open up the email program as showed in a different video. Or you can delete it. So if you delete it, it does tell you that it will delete it from the following categories. So just keep in mind, whenever it says it's going to delete it from Comp View, it will delete it from your Outlook contacts as well. So we hit delete, and the contact is gone. The 4th option we have is the corporate directory. To get to that, basically you can't browse the corporate directory, but you can search for more contacts from it. So what that means is if you need to look up a phone number or email address for another person who works within the company, you can always hit this search button down here. Press search. Then you can search, it'll say search all contacts. You start typing in the name of the person you would like to see, and then choose search comp view. It'll search comp view and bring up my contact. This is populated by the global address list in Outlook for our email system. So if I select that, there's my work email and my contact information. You choose add to contacts and it'll add it to the contacts on your phone. If we hit the return key here, type somebody else's name, say for example Dennis, it found it in my list of contacts, but let's go back here, but it also found it in, anytime you see a person with the globe on it and you see the email address like that, that means it found it in the corporate directory. So you just press that, there's his information on our email server, and you can select add to contacts, and then you hit save, and then it'll be added to your contacts. I'm going to go ahead and press return, discard changes, as he's already listed in my contacts. Press return again to return to my contacts. Some additional options available to you under contacts. If we go back into contacts and press the menu button, go ahead and hit return here to go back to the main menu. Press the menu button. We'll notice there are more options. You can hit the menu button in any application and it usually presents more options. So you can go to My Info, which is the Me contact, which shows the different information about yourself. If we go back into the main menu here, you got Add Contact, which we already demonstrated. Backup Assistant, which takes us to the Backup Assistant menu. You can also find this by going through Settings, and that'll allow you to sync with the your Verizon account, all your contacts that are currently present on the phone. We hit the back arrow here. Go back into the menu. You can also search, but that's the same functionality as this button here. You can display a specific group. Displaying a group is the same option. As you can see, it's, if I hit return, if I press up here on that bar of the contacts, that's showing a specific group as well. You can also create a new group. So let's say, for example, we will hit create new group. We type in the group name as test. Then we hit add. We'll choose this here. Basically, we can go through the list and select who we want in that group. I'm selecting just the first few listed here. Say done. Hit save. Now we have added a new group called test. That's how you create a custom group. So under test, you can see it has just the numbers that I selected. In this case, these are all just shortcuts to get to to see your minutes and your data usage and stuff like that. But you can put anybody in there. And if we go under more options, we can edit the group as well if we're in a custom group. You can't edit the stock groups. If we hit more, we have more stuff. So we can go under My Info this way. We can manage our accounts. There are settings, name cards, as well as importing and exporting contacts. So if we go under settings, it shows the list of contacts that will be available. If you uncheck any one of these, phone contacts has to be enabled by default. It won't let you deselect that. But if you enable some of these others, then they'll appear in your list of contacts that you can choose, or the different contact groups. This has been a demonstration of the phone and contact items on the Droid X smartphone. I hope you found this informative, and I'd like to thank you for watching.